Good afternoon or good night to everyone tuning in today, depending on where you are in Australia or wherever you are in the world. Actually, thank you for joining us tonight on a little bit of an impromptu webinar, which we really didn't have much planning for other than a conversation myself and Warren were having yesterday morning. And it's great to see the sheer number of people that are on here on such late notice as well, with only a day's notice. So really good to see a lot of people here. There's a lot of names I recognize, but I'll be very honest with everyone. There's also a bunch of names in here that I have never seen before. So welcome to any new members or people that may be tuning in for the first time, or maybe it's just the first time you've seen me or I've seen you. How are we today, Mr. Black?
Connor, I'm well. How are you, mate?
I am always good. It's been about 20 hours since you last saw me in the flesh. Are you missing me yet?
What can I say, man? I'm always missing you. True love never dies.
That's great to hear. Great to hear. So, Warren, I was just mentioning to everyone, today was very impromptu. It was almost, last minute to some degree, because we're only really talking about doing this yesterday morning when we were catching up with your two boys.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it just came out of the blue, didn't it, really? In terms of what's happening in the whole world situation and just what we're just observing with people and just how people are kind of a little bit unsure what to do. And just how there's almost, I don't know about a complacency, a flatness, or like, what do we do next kind of sense is what I've noticed with so many clients and people that I'm meeting everywhere. And then it kind of came from there, didn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely. I think complacency is a great word. And that's something that I was kind of feeling. I think the power of community as well is, I've got people around me such as yourself and your two boys and Grace, who obviously works, as director of Global Wealth Club. And I have those people around me to shake me out of that complacency. But I know, talking to a lot of our members, a lot of them can feel quite isolated at times, especially with the things they go through. Because a lot of people, let's be real, you're part of the minority, people that are up to date with things. And it can be challenging to kind of break out of that complacency sometimes. So that's kind of why we wanted to do this, right?
Yeah, well, let's face it. I mean, the world has well and truly lost the plot right now. And, of course, we've got the election, and it's really a case of whether Satan or Lucifer gets in. It's kind of that feeling right now.
There was a couple more you mentioned the other day. I can't remember the name of the female. What was that?
Jezebel was one of them. So, yeah, there's a few of them out there who are all trying to get in. So, yeah, there's a couple of comments here. Complacency, lost, not sure what to do. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're noticing, Kat. So, okay. So, Connor, lead it away, mate.
Well, Warren, let's start off with kind of what we noticed at the start of the year, going back January, February. I know for me, it was a lot of people were really hungry to make change in their life, and whether they were hungry to make change, whether they wanted to themselves. I feel like the situation a lot of people were put in with mandates were forcing people into taking a lot of action, and we noticed that within the club. Not just with, new people joining us, but also with members. People were hungry to get things done. And then what we were discussing yesterday, and we're not just talking about our club, but in general, is people have been quick to forget what we just went through.
Yeah. Look, but really this quick. Is really quick, but in a way, this is kind of what happens. And this is why community is so important. It's like, when you think about it, life is a series of memories, like a film script. It's all it is, Connor. And I was saying this to someone the other day, how even the last 3 months in West Australia where we've lived, the last 3.5 months, where it was absolutely like feral, they passed these mandates, proudly boast they're going to be the worst in the world. They said they'd be around for years. And, of course, my comment was I'd be very surprised they'll be around for years, simply because no vaccine mandates ever lasted longer than 6 months, from what I could find in the last 300 years. At the time, it was pretty awful. You go around and the cafes and, people are masked up, not sure what to do next. Other people very miserable and happy. Suddenly, the vaccine mandates lift and you go out there and it's like it was a memory, something you just talk about. And it's very easy to forget very quickly. And we see that with history. Like I was saying to someone the other day, just about how if you go back like 50 odd years ago, you had basically people being put in jail and called conspiracy theories and protesters because they said, we don't really want to go to Vietnam and fight and kill innocent Asian people who don't deserve to die. And you're like, well, that makes you a protester and that makes you a conspiracy theorist, because the US thinks they should die. And you're like, but I don't want to kill these people. I mean, I'm not trained for guerrilla warfare. I don't want to go into jungles of Vietnam and kill, Asian people. I don't have any beef with whatsoever. People I probably would get on well with in real life. And then if you go back even 60 years ago, 65 years ago, if you sat down with some coloured people, white and coloured, to have a coffee together, the white people would be either shunned with society or they would be locked up and put in jail. I mean, this was what was going on. And then we forget all this and we repeat the cycles. And then we forget it all again, and like all that's been. So it's kind of how keeping that edge and staying focused is not easy. You just have to be aware that the time to take action is the exact time to take action is really the time when you almost feel so complacent. The last thing you want to do is take action, but when no one else is doing it, because that's the moment when it's easiest. Like right now, it's so easy to take action around your finances. It's so easy to get your structuring and your compliance right. It's so easy to kind of get yourself ready for the next stage, but it won't be so easy in 6 months from now or 12 months from now.
And one thing I remember you saying to me, and we're going back, back when I was PTing, this is 3 or 4 years ago, Warren, you were saying a lot of this stuff was going to happen, which was eerie when it did. But, the way you said that places or whoever those powers be that are kind of making these things move and these cogs move, you said it's not going to be all out 100% for a sustained period of time. They're going to push forward, people are going to react, and they're going to back off, and everyone will go back into that lull. And that's exactly what we're starting to notice right now, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to do things basically in a kind of process. That's the way you successfully deal with things. I mean, if you even study water torture and the way they do Guantanamo and all that kind of stuff, they didn't just go all out, all out, all out, all out, all out. They'd go all out, take a break, go all out, take a break and reward. It's a gradual wearing down, and that's what I'm noticing, and that's what's been my whole frustration or whatever else with the whole situation, and just like seeing what's happening, trying to explain to people what I'm seeing happening, and then people kind of not really wanting to listen to what you got to say. But in saying all that, it is where it's at. The good news is today. The biggest thing now is to seize the day. I mean, we watched Dead Poets Society the other day, an amazing movie. And of course, the message of that movie was seize the day, take the opportunity. And right now, there's tremendous opportunities to get ready for a great wealth transfer that's coming. And the biggest thing, as we're talking about, is this blooming compliance stuff. Like, I mean, governments are coming for money, and they're going to come any way they can because they're running out of money. They're cutting taxes to try and win elections. We've got a record national debt. The debt's only going to keep increasing, especially if a Labor government win, as is expected overall. So this is the time in the next 12 months and right this minute to get moving on your structuring and on your compliance. So like especially on your financial management and putting things in place and getting ready. I mean, doctors, as you know, have been looked at very closely by governments and being cracked down upon. Accountants are going to be next. Cryptocurrency investors are the big ones that they've already said they're coming for. And my guess is most cryptocurrency investors don't even have proper records or paperwork, and they're going to be in all kinds of trouble. Having worked for the ATO, as soon as they see your paperwork is weak, they will go hard with it, So...
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Warren. And it's funny how we're talking about these cycles of people, getting caught up in things and then dying off, because that's one thing I've really noticed is how many people wanted to talk to me about crypto over the last 2 months versus over the last 2 weeks when the markets have really gone down. Everyone's super excited about these things when it's present, but like from that standpoint, everyone's got it backwards. Now is the time to be getting excited. When things have dialed down, this is when you need to start taking action, whether that's the crypto market or mandates. Like to sit around now because things have eased up is literally the worst thing you could be doing. You would have been better off waiting to take action until this point. But a lot of people were trying to take action when things were difficult. And now we're at this stage and no one really cares anymore. It's ridiculous.
My only regrets I ever get, Connor, is that when markets crash and things get bad is I don't do enough action. Last time crypto crashed heavily last year, I bought up a whole heap, and of course it shot right up and I made a good profit. And I, at the time, wished I'd bought more. And I'm the same right now. And in fact, I'm hoping there's a bit more of a crash because you can get in. So I agree. People tend to kind of, when things are well, it's very easy to do that. But as people are saying in the chat and what we're sensing, people are just worn down right now. And it's been exhausting. And it's been a time when you just got to take some rest or whatever else and take some stock. And really what I say to people is when you're a bit worn and a bit tired, it's like with my Pilates. When I'm feeling worn down, exhausted and tired, sometimes I turn up for my session and my Pilates instructor just says, look, let's just go back to basics today, Warren. Let's just, go back, and I wind my workout down a bit. We focus more on reintegration until I'm feeling a bit more energized again. And then in a couple of weeks' time, and then we go hard at it again. So the main thing is not to stop. By all means, slow down. My sense is when you're really exhausted, slow down. That's fine. You got to heal a little bit. You've got to kind of integrate. You got to feel emotionally what's going on and not deny the whole thing. I mean, my biggest thing I've been learning, Connor, having seen that amazing psychologist I've been seeing lately, is how easy it is to let your intellect become your protection, where you create this intellectual kind of identity that helps you cope with the world and what's going on, which is what this guy has told me many are doing. So for me, my challenge was not to let my intellect get involved, but to sit back. And I noticed when I did that, I felt a bit more exhausted and tired than normal. I let myself go with that. And the more I did that, the more I got clarity with the whole thing. So the main thing is it's okay to slow down and kind of let it. But what's important is not to stop, not to go into this numbness, this sense of absolute numbness and grief. And, oh, my God, this is awful. What's going to happen next? It can't get any worse. And this is what worries me about society a bit right now, is that it's almost like, oh, it can't get any worse. But guess what? It can get worse. And I hate to tell you, everyone, I think it will get worse. I mean, governments have just got away with the most deplorable violation of rights, violating people's bodies, violating every kind of sovereignty, locking people down. And they got away with it magnificently. They didn't just get away with it. They got away with it with support. They got away with it magnificently. So no doubt there's much worse things planned ahead. So whether you like it or not, or whether we like it or not, you got to kind of, lift yourself up out of the trenches, so to speak. Even if you're going slowly and limping along a bit, keep moving and keep getting your structures, keep getting things in place, because you do that and you stay within that 10% or 15% of people who do enough or take action, you don't fall within the 80%, but you're going to happily target and get their money out of them and do whatever else. So, and whether it's moving location, whether it's whatever, but the number one thing is your structuring and paperwork. I think finances are in a lot of trouble over the next couple of years. I reckon that's where governments are coming next. So KA says, I'm living in part denial. I need to get onto it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Sorry, Connor, go on.
One thing you said is that, we've made the press on health over the last year or so, and that's what's really been targeted. But you said they're not going to continue to target this one avenue. They're going to switch avenues and come from a different perspective. So from a lot of the conversations we've had, we've known the ATO starting to crack down on cryptocurrencies over the last year. We're starting to see Labor government offer to buy into properties. Is it fair to say that you think the next target for governments is going to be the wealth of people?
You just got to go back historically over what's happened in civilizations, kind of when they've collapsed like this. And like I said, you remember I told you I would love to have been wrong a lot of the stuff I said. So far, I've been horribly right, and I was really grieving last month how right I'd been in a lot of stuff. And I wished I had been wrong. I even remember early this year thinking, maybe there's a hope that I'll be wrong and that I'm over pessimistic. Because, I'm the most pessimistic guy I know when it comes to this. And it turned out even I was over optimistic with things when it came to this. So, the main thing is that when civilizations collapse, one of the things that governments inevitably do is they start printing money or trying to keep in power, and inevitably the middle class are the ones who really get hit in small business. It's the people who aren't sovereign. The people who are either very poor or very sovereign tend to be okay. It's all the ones in the middle that get badly caught out. So what I call the 80% in the middle get caught. The ones who are the elite, the super elite, the poor and the welfare, and even what I call the sovereigns, the small group of sovereigns, generally are relatively okay. So generally there's around 20 to 25% of society that are actually okay. There's about 75 to 80% that absolutely get decimated and their wealth transfers over to the rest. So it really comes down to which one you are. So you either want to be completely living the simplest life with minimal money and be comfortable with that lifestyle so it doesn't bother you anymore in a barter kind of community, Or the other extreme is if you value your money and you desire to still maintain wealth and live in a Western society, you've got to take extraordinary steps to protect your wealth. And history shows that if you don't take extraordinary steps for compliance and wealth, you will lose your wealth. And I will say 100% certainty, you will lose it in some form. Whether it's taxes, whether it's in governments just seizing money. And you've got to realize the Sovereign Individual book written in 1995, which wrote out a whole blueprint of what they predicted would happen over the next 40 years, have so far been very accurate in everything they said. And they said the time will come when governments will just openly take your money. In other words, they'll just go, hey, we're going to do this. Hey, we're going to take your money out of your bank account. Hey, sorry, we're going to take this. Or like Labor government, hey, we're going to be buying a whole lot of properties, or we're going to be doing this, or we're going to let people do this with their super to buy their properties. And more and more, they're pricing out the average Australian out of buying your own home. And that's a real problem in society, you know. It's a real problem. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of historically shows, as well as the Sovereign Individual book, there's a lot that's going to play out still, and a lot of it's not particularly great. The exciting news is, and you can't just sit here all doom and gloom, for those who take action, the results will be incredible. I mean, do you know, the one thing my Pilates instructor told me, Connor, she said to me, she said, the thing with you, Warren, she said, you just keep showing up. She said, that's all you do. Many of her other superstar athletes, they come in and out. I'm now ahead of nearly all superstar young football players in terms of strength. First time in my life, I'm in immaculate health. My body has no pain. I feel really amazing in my body. But it happened because of that. Financially, my business is fairly sound, it's solid, because we've done all the hard steps and still keep doing hard steps. So the results are really worth it, everyone, because when wealth gets taken from the bulk of the people, the ones who are got things in hand are going to do really well out of it. You know, there'll be good rewards for you. I will tell you now, but if you actually take the steps now and brush yourself and shake yourself out of the dust, you know, get yourself out of that dust of grief, of gloom, where you've just been belted around, find your strength again, you're actually going to do really well. I'm telling you, you're going to do really, really well, because the crypto markets, I mean, you can't say for certain, you know, you never know. Cryptos might be regulated out and disappear, but more likely than not, cryptos will come back. And the best time to buy cryptos, for example, is right now when the markets are down, you know. The best time to get anything when it's down. I think there's an amazing time of opportunity if you're actually willing to shake yourself and get in the right community and get the right mentoring, and just don't get caught up with the stupidity that's out there. Like, you know, oh, come and join this crypto that will make you 8% a minute. I mean, those scams will always lose you your money. I mean, a fool in his money or her money is soon parted. There's so much opportunity right now. So, yeah, it's horrible times, but in horrible times, there's also extraordinary opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in the chat right now, who can feel the energy coming off Warren right now? Because the thing that I've really, you know, sometimes you hear a lot of these people that talk about this stuff and it's kind of like fluff, where, you know, Warren, you're speaking from the point where I know the last month has had some challenges for you and stuff that you've worked through. But like yesterday we went and got a coffee and we're talking and we're getting fired up, and I can see tears start to form in your eyes in that conversation, because you want people to wake up. You don't want people to be stuck in this middle class where people are going to lose their money and their assets. Like, so hopefully everyone can feel that. And, you know, for the people that are listening to this right now, Warren, and they're thinking, you know what, maybe I've been playing small. Maybe I haven't been going as hard as I can. Where do people start? What is the easiest place for someone to start? Because there's a lot going on right now and a lot of people are overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's kind of why we do these webinars. When you said about my tears came up, I mean, I spend half my time crying these days. And one of the reasons for that was just because I made a decision some months ago. I was going to stop living an intellectual facade of what was going on. And I thought, look, I'm naturally a sensitive guy. You know, I even did things like yesterday, a friend had a birthday and I sung her a happy birthday and I sent it to her on Facebook, you know, and she's giggling away going, thank you. I'm naturally a real romantic, you know, I like watching romantic movies. I remember, you know, I used to secretly, you know, watch things like Sleepless in Seattle, The Notebook. I love The Notebook, you know, all the stuff that my guy friends would give me absolute crap for, you know. I mean, I cry really easily and I'm really not happy with what's happened to our society one little bit. And it frustrates me. I feel like, I know I did my best, but I still feel I could have done more. And just because, look, society is not much fun when everyone's hurting in the society. Because, like traveling isn't fun because you go places and everyone's depressed. I walk out around Perth and I just don't see many happy people right now. And I don't like being in that environment, So I just, how I see it is, it's just making as big a difference as we can and getting started. Now, what was your question again, Connor? Please excuse me.
I don't even know. I'm just getting hyped in the conversation, to be honest with you.
Oh, God, who knows? But something about the opportunity, was it? But I mean, just getting started with where you're at. Yeah, was that right?
I think that's essentially it, because obviously there's, it's easy for us to be able to break things down, Warren, but there's obviously people here, like you're saying, that have been worn down. It's been a big few years and they probably feel like they've put so much effort in and the mandates have lifted. It's easy to take your foot off. So, what can you say to those people? Where do those people start? How do they evaluate where they're at and where they should get started with things?
It's like when you've really been knocked around a bit. You just sometimes got to let yourself gradually get back into it, not force yourself. But at the same time, you got to force yourself enough that you get moving again. Like I kind of felt knocked around a little bit. I took myself time to heal a little bit. And so don't be afraid to do that if you've got to take some time to do that. But just start somewhere. Like, of course, we're going to be doing this compliance online event, coming along, getting an action plan and just getting started on doing that. Well, as Jasmine said, we certainly help people all the time with Global Wealth Club. We've got our free webinars. I mean, staying as part of his community, if nothing else, coming to the free webinars and remaining kind of encouraged until you get some idea is a good start class, And then, of course, we've got our master classes that we're going to be doing over the next weekend or whatever, which is like on compliance, financial management, ways to protect yourself with the government coming for your money and helping people give some practical action steps with an all-day event, just to do that. And the main thing right now is just to do stuff, like start with where you're at. If you don't have your structures in order, get them in order. If your crypto paperwork's a mess, get it in order. If you're not ready for the next round of mandates, then get yourself ready for your next round of mandates, the best that you can, and get some help. If you are not sure where to go next in your business, get some advice, get some guidance from experts, like someone like us, or if you don't like us all that much, apart from a free webinar, someone that you trust, That's my biggest thing, just getting started.
Yeah, I love that, Warren. And that reminds me of, Jordan Peterson, right? You've read a couple of books. So Jordan Peterson, for those of you that don't know Jordan Peterson, I'd highly recommend checking out some of his books and some of his podcasts. They are phenomenal. And one thing he says, when you're in a slump and you feel like there's too much going on and everything's weighing you down, start by cleaning your room. Because he said, when you conquer your own bedroom and that's clean, he said it opens up avenues for other things. So I can really relate to what you're saying, Warren. I think we just sometimes need to take a step back, evaluate things and get started on what we can control. And in saying that, also not get caught up in the things we can't control, because how much of that do you see online at the moment?
Yeah, no, it's a good thing with Jordan Peterson. When I really feel a bit out of sorts, like I felt the other week, I felt really out of sorts after getting that silly sickness. I just got myself back into the flow by actually going, normally have someone who comes around our house and helps us out. I went and did some of my own shopping. I then went and washed some clothes. I then hung them up. I then made my own bed and washed it, stuff which I normally have a housekeeper because I'm too busy. I then went and got my four-wheel drive and just did some simple stuff. This weekend, I'm doing a simple four-wheel drive course. I then contact friends and just go and hang out with them and just have a coffee with someone and just do some basic little things. And then when I do that, I notice I feel like I'm back grounded, and then I find I can do other stuff and go, okay, great, now what can I do? Okay, great, let's do some client work. Okay, great, now let's do this. Okay, great, what else can we do? Okay, let's sit down and go through our budgets and our paperwork and things like that. Or of course, do some incense burning, like here's my little incense burner, and I was just burning some before today just to help, soothe me down a little bit.
I actually thought it was like a hot bowl of soup because I could see like steam coming up in front of your camera when we started. So
now it's just weed, mate, getting weed.
Well, no, if you get real silent towards the last 10 minutes of this, then it's obviously starting to kick in for a little bit.
Yeah, you'll know that I've taken weed or I smoked a cigar. So
whatever floats your boat, mate. I think also another thing, like you say, Warren, is starting with that. I think community is so powerful. And I know the last probably 3 months, only the last 4 weeks, I've really started to be able to get that ball rolling. And I wouldn't be in that position if it wasn't for you. Your two boys, Grace, having people that when you're in those positions can help lift you out of them and get that revved up. So that's why I'm really excited to see how many people are here. Like we literally said we were going to do something like this yesterday. Warren, we didn't even say a single word about what we're going to talk about today. I thought we'd just get on and we'd just start talking and see where it goes. But, you know, for everyone that's looking for the community, make sure you come to things like this. Make sure you come to the event, because like if you feel like you don't have the people to support you, then just find people that you feel comfortable discussing this stuff with.
It's so interesting because like I was saying yesterday, like when I was younger, one of the things that made a big difference in my life was I was part of an amazing church community, you know, and Grace was too. And you know, it was a very like fiery church, very enlightened. People were really kind of switched on, and really good church community made a really big difference. And I noticed how my life went downhill a little bit when I lost connection with my church community for a while. And being part of a community makes life a lot easier. And like I was saying to you the other day, like Florida is the gold standard for not putting up with the shit from government. But what people also know is Florida's got a very strong church community over there. And the churches just basically told the government to get fucked when they first brought in lockdowns. And, of course, they arrested a couple of the key pastors. And all the pastors said from jail was just go to church and make sure whatever you do, you don't stop going. You know, there's no way we're going to let some ungodly, stupid government tell us what to blooming will do. And, you know, it's outrageous what they're doing. And all the churches ignored them. And within about a few weeks, the Florida sheriffs apologized, let the pastors out. And basically they promised they wouldn't lock down anymore. Now Florida's the gold standard, but it started because the church communities got together and said, you can get screwed. Whereas we live in a world right now where community is just broken down as every man and woman for themselves. And, you know, most people are dobbing each other in, you know, because you had a party next door. People are not even kind of connecting anymore and things like that. There's almost a secret gloating over misfortunes of each other. It's just wild, man, you know.
It is.
Really, really wild. We badly need community. Like I know me, I badly need my friends around me. It's really important.
And it's crazy how we've become connected by social media, but in essence, by that, we've become disconnected as communities.
Well, we have, yeah. And it's like I'm just seeing some comments here. Darren's really missing community and why government has so much control. I agree. You know, government would have no chance of getting much control if we had love and community. You know, people wouldn't put up with this kind of stuff. Jasmine puts Warren is an excellent piano player. I was blessed to see it firsthand. No. In fact, I'm keen to play some more piano for events and release some more music. So you're going to hear some more of it. But I think it's the biggest thing I want to see more come from the Global Wealth Club is an even stronger community than we've got now, and actually getting people joining up. I want to get a men's group happening and then a women's group happening because, as you know, men talk to men in a way that men need to be accountable, and women talk to women in a way, and I mean, all the women would agree, you get sick of being around men and men giving you all these solutions. Oh, we know how to solve your problem. And women are going, we don't want you to solve your problem. We just want to chat and just connect and vent. And equally, when women are connecting and venting, men are going, could you just shut up the fuck up, man? We just want to get this thing solved. So I think that men don't get enough with men and women with women. And then every now and again, we come back with each other and we appreciate each other. That's another thing too.
Absolutely. And it's been, we have seen that within Global Wealth Club. I know like Darren meeting up with other members at his house all the way over in another state. I know the Adelaide crew has been meeting up. So for those of you that are members or not members and you want to find the community, just throw into the chat where you're from, because we've got a bunch of members all over Australia, even outside of members. So even outside of Australia. So if you're looking for people that are like-minded and you need that support, then just reach out to the team, because there are a lot of people in the same boat as you. And when you have that community, you're much stronger together, that's for sure. Great to see a couple from Perth as well. Bris Vegas, I love that. I don't know who BB is, but I like you already.
Sunshine Coast. Yeah, there's a lot of good people.
Heine missed the Adelaide team. Yep. I think they're still catching up. So I know Aiden was catching up. Aiden, maybe you can reach out to Heine and touch base, because I know the Adelaide group is quite strong. A lot of Melbourne, Sunshine Coast. I can't even keep up with this right now.
No.
It's great to see so many people.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it?
It is. It is. And I think, you know, at least for me, Warren, you know, sometimes after you finish a webinar, you can feel quite tired, you know, because you're giving a lot out. But I actually feel the complete opposite right now, having this conversation with you and seeing everyone else here. It really energized me having these types of conversations and seeing how much people are actually crying out for stuff like this.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think we're right now, but look, people are really numb right now with the whole thing. That's all I'm noticing. And I've learned to trust my sense and my feeling. And I think that, it's all very well to razz people up and all that, but I think at the same time, I think we do need to keep moving and can't give up. At the same time, I think there's people, we all need a lot of encouragement right now. I mean, it's just like, what's just happened is ghastly. I mean, what governments have just done is appalling. It really is. I mean, you've effectively coerced people into getting needles they don't want and muzzle people up. And you still got government officials trying to say they want to keep doing it, and take people's money off them. It's not a fun time to be in.
Yeah. Like you're saying, you're starting to see mandates come back in certain places of the world right now, right?
Well, they are. And I think that, look, there's certainly more stuff to come yet and play out. We all know that. I mean, the government aren't going to suddenly go home and go, look, sorry, guys, that was a bit mean of us to, shove needles in you and mask you up. Please forgive us. We love you. We love our little sheep. They've just basically found it a great joy that they can just about pass whatever mandates they want. It's like I said last year. Honestly, I said, I reckon they could pass a law. They could come out with an article tomorrow, Connor, saying that there was they saw this rabbit that was imported in from Zimbabwe, and this rabbit's got a nasty virus, and they're calling it the Rhodesian rabbit virus, which is deadly and nasty. And the only way to solve it is carrot particles, and they found that in the anus is the best. So they shove a carrot up your ass. And they say if everyone comes in and gets a carrot up their ass, it'll fix them. I reckon 40 to 50% would turn up and get a carrot up their ass. I actually do.
If it was in Perth, we'd probably have 95% because we love to win at everything, don't we?
Oh, mate. Yeah, Jasmine reckons she's better water out. But it's true. I mean, who would agree with me? I mean, I reckon half our pop country would do it. And if they coerced it and said, you can't work and you can't go to the pub and you can't go to the footy, you can't go to Vegas, you can't fly, and get laid in England, you can't visit Aunt Mary in Spain unless you get a carrot up your ass. I reckon like 70 to 80% of Australians would literally bend over. In other words, bend over, stay safe. In other words, they'd stand up, bend over, stay safe, And you could see the catch cries from the government. There'd be articles and videos coming everywhere, like bend over, stay safe. And there's like elbow bending over. And then you've got like one of Mark McGowan, Daniel Andrews bending over and having carrot up his ass. I mean, you could see it all, couldn't you? I reckon 70% of people would do it.
You need a couple of celebrities and a couple of sports stars to do a TV ad, which they play at 7:00 on Channel 7.
Oh,
everyone would love that. They'd follow it.
Oh, you could just imagine, couldn't you? Like, hi, my name is Hugh Jackman. I've taken my carrot. Will you do it for your country? Hello, I'm Miranda Kerr. Yes, I'm, just whoever.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Really good.
Bend over, stay safe. That's right, Darren.
It's actually such a catchy slogan as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon that the government are gonna actually pay me and consult me,
I'm loving some of the comments right now. Peter, carrot is safe compared to the jab. I mean, you're probably not wrong with that one. We got free hamburgers. Hey, why not get a carrot, get a hamburger? That could be the next slogan, Warren.
Absolutely, yeah. No. But you know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. This is the problem. So I think government have worked out they can get away with a lot of shit when they're tampering with people's money. And that's why I think this is going to get – and it's good to have some humour because this is pretty bad shit. I mean, they've worked out now. They've got control of the whole system by which people earn their living. That tells me, okay, if I had to simplify everything we're saying, you've got to get yourself sovereign and out of the system so you learn to function outside of it. Whether you learn to live with no money and learn basic or learn to create your own income outside of it, one of those two extremes, or maybe learn both. I mean, I've learned to live simply, but I've also learned to live sovereign incomes. And then with your income in the system, do whatever you can to protect it. I mean, it's so important because you're going to be doing so much stuff. I mean, I've done everything from get rid of all my licenses, resign from different groups where I saw any risk where I could be used against me. I mean, that's where it's on,
Yeah, absolutely.
Very important to take radical steps right now.
I just like when we're talking about the carrot up the bum and Christine says, sounds like you're willing it to happen. I would say it's more like he's wanting it to happen, Christine. A slight change in wording there works well.
Look, Christine would be great. Who knows? I mean, I don't mind the odd carrot up my ass. It doesn't bother me.
Just out of curiosity, because I'm seeing everyone in the chat saying they'd love catch-ups and that. Something we have talked about before, Warren, is doing like a bit of an Australia tour and actually going around to states live and doing courses. Just in the chat, would people be interested in something like that? Because I've been hanging out to travel for a little bit. Preferably, I wouldn't want to do it with Warren, but I am willing to settle if that's what the people want.
Nadine, no way, yeah. No, I think having a good community would be good. I think getting some kind of group happening, definitely.
Yeah. No carrots on travel. No, it's no carrots on carry on, Jasmine. As long as they're in your bag, it's completely fine. Darren says, we'll have you. That's good. I won't even need accommodation because I'm just going to come crash at your house. Oh, it's great to see so many people on here, though. Really good.
Nah, it's kind of good, you know. You got to be lighthearted. I mean, we've got a lot of good humour. Someone puts Warren for PM. You don't want PM for PM. Emma,
anyone that doesn't know you well enough thinks you'd be good PM, but we all know you would be well sinistered for about a week or two, and then you'd get fed up with stupidity and you'd start making worse laws than they brought in previously.
Well, I've already said what I'd do if I was PM. The first thing that I would do is I would get up and say, you know, I'd make up some silly virus as an experiment, and then I would just basically say, who wants the lockdown? And we're going to do a referendum. But I warn you, if you get a lockdown, if you vote for lockdown, be careful what you wish for. And if the population voted for a lockdown, which they would do, I'd lock everyone in their houses for 14 days and treat them horrendously for 14 days. And then after 14 days, come out and say, okay, now who wants a lockdown? And of course, I think that would end Australia. I don't think anyone would ever want to be locked down again.
No, I mean, you're speaking with too much logic now, though, so you have to be careful talking like that if you want to be in politics, all right?
I don't want to be in politics. I couldn't think of anything worse. I just like to have fun. That would be like the worst thing ever.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Now, we need some good people in politics, but I'm not one of them.
You can work in other ways to change the world, right?
Oh, look, there's plenty of ways, just by doing the small little things and helping people. And to me, everyone's just got to find their role and find their niche and make in what's going on. And I think that community is a good starting point, because when your mind's really clear and you're feeling connected with people, you know, I notice I think straighter, whereas when I'm not, that's when I start playing up.
Yeah, I think the main thing that's highlighted me over the last 4 weeks is definitely the power of community, and also the power of vulnerability in that community as well.
Yeah.
Let's go back through the comments. There are so many comments going on today. It's hard to keep up with it all.
Oh, I know.
So is there much else you wanted to really talk about today, Warren, or was that kind of the crux of it? I mean, we didn't really have a agenda.
I think that's the crux of it now. I think the main thing is just to mention, Connor, about just for anyone who's interested and he wants a more practical action plan as to where to go next, about this event that we're going to do, like this one-day, you know, event about financial management, about, you know, governments coming for your money, what do you do next, which is happening in about a week and a half. And then from there, once we do that event, we'll probably talk a lot more about community and, you know, different groups we can create to help people out a little bit more.
Yeah. So when we talk about, you know, obviously we talked about compliance and things, in what areas we're talking strictly finances, Warren?
Yeah, well, that event's going to be a lot around that kind of stuff, you know, about finances and about, but really a bit about everything, just about getting yourself in that headspace. Because before this whole thing started, as you know, when I had a bit of an instinct things were going to break down in 2019, when I got this kind of, because what happened to me, everyone, was 2018, I was on a shamanic retreat minding my own business and literally had this encounter where I spent 9 hours seeing all these visions and showing what was going to happen. And I remember coming back and telling Connor, and everyone, and me, half of them listened to me and half of them thought I was a complete nutcase. I think Connor was the one who wasn't sure what to make of me. And but I just kind of, I knew I was right. I knew we were heading for a major breakdown from 2020 onwards of some kind. I wasn't quite sure of the full thing. I just knew it involved economic problems, vaccination problems, and a few other things. And then I really, from there, one of the first things I did was cut a lot of my ties to the system and simplify myself and get all my paperwork immaculate, because I thought when civilizations break down, governments just start getting money any way they can. And the clients who listened to me at the time all did that, and of course we're very grateful. So really that's the main thing with the event, is helping people get finances in order, and just get their lives in order, really, taking the steps to get yourself ready for what's ahead. Because if you're well prepared, you'll actually get through this relatively smoothly. I mean, the biggest pain you'll experience is more seeing your fellow citizens go through it. And for me, that's been why I've been really feeling it. I'm actually in a good place myself at the moment, but I'm feeling what others are going through. And I'm sure all of you would agree, but you would wouldn't it be good if you're in a really good place yourself, and even though you may be feeling the pain of your society falling apart, if you're in a good place, you can then help other people around you. Whereas if your own life's fucked up because you weren't properly prepared, I mean, you can't help anyone, because you can't even help yourself. So that's my comment there.
Yeah, it's much easier to help others when you're sovereign, because if you're not, then you just end up playing that rescuer role instead of taking it from that helicopter perspective. You don't want to jump in the burning boat when you're in the helicopter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Is it just going to be you speaking at that event, Warren, or do we have other pretty faces?
Stephen's going to be there as well, and Stephen may be there as well, possibly. Michaela's going to be there as well. She's a brilliant accountant who's very awake to everything on private foundations, to cryptos, to everything. And she's going to be teaching on accounting, record keeping, how you got to keep it, what the ATO are looking at the moment, how they're cracking down on anything with cryptos, on all kinds of different fields, and basically what you got to do to make sure you survive any, audit untaxed. So between Michaela and I, because I used to be a tax auditor, we'll be covering all that. So there's going to be a lot of good stuff there to help you kind of get ready.
Beautiful. It's definitely something that I'm looking forward to, because we do a lot of big picture work. I am hanging out for some practical steps around finances, because I know within my own trust setups and things could be done much tighter. And would I be okay with an audit? Hopefully, but I'd rather be much more sure that I'm doing everything correctly. So I'm looking forward to it. For people that want to check out more about what the event's at, we'll have a link posted in the chat shortly. If you don't like pressing links for some unknown reason, you can also email us at support@globalwealthclub.com, and then someone will get back to you and answer any questions if you have questions about what's going on. Linda Lee says, is the event going to be recorded? Warren, do you know? I'm assuming it will be.
Yes.
The event
it will be. Obviously, people, So yes, it will be recorded. So people who are keen, who can't come to all of it, you can always listen to the recording afterwards, as long as you bought the event beforehand.
And if you're anything like me, whenever I buy a course or do something like that, I always watch it multiple times anyway, because sometimes it takes, a few times going through certain aspects of it to really let it sink in. Saw Suzanne says, I'm registering this week. Bring it on. I love the attitude, Suzanne. You seem fired up and ready to take some action as well, which is great to hear. So I'm really looking forward to that. And once again, it's been really good to chat to everyone today and feel the energy bouncing off people. And I think, yesterday, Warren, when we had that chat, I think we really kind of hit the nail on the head just by seeing some people's reactions today. I think everyone is feeling a little bit run down, and they should be, because it's been a big year or two leading up to this.
Yeah, no, it's been a huge year. I mean, these mandates have been horrific, and I mean, and the worst part about it is, people aren't stupid. I mean, people know that the only reason they dropped the mandates is not because they felt bad, but this weekend is an election. They just want to make sure that the election goes smoothly, and Liberal want to maximise their chance of winning the election, as do Labor, So they want to make sure people are happy and not distracted by mandates.
Satan or Lucifer.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's great. Do you have any final thoughts before we close up for today, Warren?
No, I think it's a good starting point. It's great to see the people coming and the energy. I think it's lovely.
Yeah, me too.
One thing I'll mention tomorrow as well, everyone, is I know that Mike, he's doing one which is on the shamanic stuff that someone mentioned. We're doing a webinar tomorrow for free on manifestation. Now, what that's about is how to adjust your thinking to start manifesting, a bit like The Secret, for those of you who heard The Secret, like how you can manifest and you can create and attract what you want in your life, and how to do that. So this is stuff that's changed my life and others, actually manifesting things and getting your mind into the right state to create and attract what you want. So we've got this webinar on tomorrow. So if there's anyone who's interested, just mention it in the text chat, and then we can basically type the link in there as well. Just if you want to register for free, or, just come along. Well, we'll post it in the Global Wealth Club Telegram group is what we'll do.
Yeah, we might have some people that are here that aren't in that Telegram group, though. So we'll get the team to post a link in for that. What time is that going to be, Warren?
It's 4:00 Perth time, 6:00 Eastern Standard Time. Yeah.
Also, I believe right now, Jasmine don't crucify me if I've got the time wrong, but I believe at 5:30 today we have the Health is Wealth series with Dr. HB and Jasmine. So for those of you interested in health, make sure you check that out. That's also going to be really good. I really respect Dr. HB. He's phenomenal at what he does. And obviously the lovely Jasmine is in that as well.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay.
All right, Warren. Well, thank you. Oh, excuse me, my voice. Thanks for joining me today, Warren, or for me joining you. And obviously it was really great to have this conversation as well and continue the energy going, because we need that. And it's great to see the community so strong. So thanks to everyone for joining us today. We're looking forward to more of these types of webinars as well in the future, and making sure we keep that community going. So to everyone that's in the chat, make sure you assess where you're at. If you're feeling down, start with what you can control right now and just take action, whatever that looks like to you, because small steps of action across this year, you won't even recognize where you're at by the end of it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, everyone.